Hey Prof, what's up?
We are chatting.
Well, I see that happening, and I also see a very special, pretty lady right next to you. So, is this another guest episode?
Yes, you're right. So we have a very special guest today. Her name is Vandana Kumar, and she's an old friend as well as a multifaceted personality from different cultures. So, in fact, we are going to talk about living in different cultures and what it does to you. I'm going to summarize it as how not to be messed up while living in different places. So, hi Vandana, welcome to the Chat Masala episode.
Thank you so much.
And okay, as I said, how do you not mess up when living in different places? Tell us something about US and UK if you wish to.
So my father was a professor of English literature, and which meant that his subject was also wanted in foreign countries. So we ended up living and traveling to England and to the US. So on 3 different occasions during my childhood, even before I completed my 10th standard, I had already visited these countries. And because he would go there for the academic year as a distinguished visiting professor or a visiting professor, we ended up going with him, and he would be there for the entire academic year, which meant that we went as a family, which meant that I had to go to school and live like one of them, not just be a tourist for a week or 15 days. So there's a big difference in being a tourist and then living there and adopting the culture and having to be part of it and living each day is very different from just going there to see the sights and visiting Disneyland and saying I've been there. So that was a unique part of our upbringing, and I think I'm completely blessed to have had that experience. So some of the things that I learned, and like I said, how did I manage to adapt or adopt? One of the things I did very openly was to observe their customs and learn to enjoy them or to become part of it, to blend in. And not to blend in to lose myself in the whole process, because we were very Indian at home and my father had a very strong cultural background that happened in the house. But outside, I also learned to be part of what they were up to. So if it meant celebrating Halloween, if it meant learning about Thanksgiving for the first time, if it meant the turkey, it was a big shock, right? Because we had never seen something like this in the middle of the table, and everyone's celebrating this like with as much fervor as we celebrate Diwali in India, for example. And it was a day to give thanks, and there was all this food and the array of food that's at the table, and everyone sits formally around it, expresses their gratitude for everything that they are blessed with, and learns to appreciate life, So Thanksgiving was one. Christmas, the decorations that we saw, and wanting to have a Christmas tree at home because everybody had a Christmas tree at home. Enjoying the foods that they like to eat. I ate my McDonald's first time when I was probably 3 years old, when I was in Des Moines, Iowa.
Must have been difficult for the jaw to open up.
Oh no, it was quite tasty. And I think I remembered Kentucky Fried Chicken. So a lot of times my English cafeteria lunch was so bland, and we with the Indian palates, we wanted something a little more exciting.
Spicy.
So we would actually not eat much at the lunchtime at the lunch table. So we would come home and my mother would treat us sometimes with chicken from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So we learned to eat fast food. We learned to eat different kinds of foods. We learned to celebrate customs. We learned that tea time is very important in England, for example. And we learned that tea time, amongst my friends at least, was the most important meal of the day. That was when the family came together, everyone came back from work, and you sat down and you had this elaborate spread for tea. And it was also called, and supper came after that, which was very light. But I learned that the big meal was between 5 and 6. As an Indian, I couldn't fathom it because our dinner time was 8 to 9 p.m. And they had very strict bedtimes. So I found it strange when my friend said, we have to go to sleep at 8 o'clock. Our parents tell us 8 o'clock. I learned punctuality from England. I learned that 8 o'clock meant when your parents said you go to bed at 8. I remember coming home and telling my mother, do you know that my friends have a strict bedtime? Can you imagine that? Because these were not very, enforced ideas for us. We were little kids, we slept when we were tired.
Unregulated.
We slept when we were tired, we got enough sleep, but we were not so time bound. So I learned so many different things. I learned about Halloween, and it was fun.
you were also the only Indians in your school, you said.
Correct. So my father took us to college towns, which meant that they were very small towns, and the biggest employer there would often be the university.
Yeah.
So we would, most of my friends' parents were some way associated with the university in that town, and so we learned because it was a very small town, we ended up, learning about each other, learning about all of the, the things that people did over there.
Did they know a lot about India in those days?
Not at all, not at all. I did get asked questions like, you mean to say you have elephants on the road? Forget cows, they were already onto elephants because everybody had probably seen the Jungle Book. And so they said, do you have elephants on the roads? Do you see elephants commonly over there? And I couldn't understand initially where they were coming from because that was not true. But I got the typical questions. Then the other question that I got asked very often was, how did you learn English so quickly? You've only been here 6 months. So we had been in the country for 6 months, and it just so happened that my brother had qualified every level of the spelling bee, which was very famous at that time, I mean for us. But when he went up to the state level, and unfortunately due to a little, not mispronunciation, but he didn't understand the pronunciation of the word, and so he misspelled it. And people were still stunned that a little 10-year-old had come third in the state. And he was nearly going to make it because he knew every other word after that. But they asked him, how come you've only moved here 6 months ago and you know enough English to participate in a spelling bee? So questions like, how come you know so much English? Do you have camels, cows, elephants do you have animals on the road? And sometimes I would joke, when I grew older and I went back there as a teenager, I actually did joke. I said, yeah, we often ride to school on a camel or an elephant, whichever one is available at the time, because I got tired after a point. But yes, I mean, they learned about me. We were the only Indians in the school. They learned about our cultures, and it was nice. I think the small town feel allowed us to be comfortable very quickly, and we made good friends. I wouldn't say that we had people who teased us or bullied us because of it.
That never happened. Didn't happen
It
much.
happened very mildly, but not because of a cultural
Nothing
issue.
that would leave a trauma.
Yeah. I mean, they thought I was from Iran, and Iran was not very friendly with the US at the time of the. So those kind of things happened, but it was mild. We could handle it.
Okay, so coming back to growing up in India or going to college or school in India, what are your fun memories, or what do you think you had fun with doing?
Well, my fun memories at school were because I went to a very nice school, very good school in Hyderabad actually, and my father knew everybody in the school, so we had a rather easy life. We were excused for a lot of things, but I had a very good set of friends. Now I must say that this school and my home in Hyderabad also helped me to, I came back and I shared all my experiences with my schoolmates. And they found it fascinating to learn about a different culture firsthand.
Those days, not many would have traveled abroad.
Nobody, in fact, nobody in my school had traveled. So I found it quite amusing that when I came back from England, I was moved to the 5th standard in India, and my teacher would deliberately make me stand up and read the lessons because I had adopted a British accent.
Okay.
And so she enjoyed, the whole class enjoyed.
Give us an
hearing
example of something from the British accent.
So we're going to have scones for tea today, and I would advise you to have a little bit of clotted cream and some jam on the side. It tastes most delicious, so you must try it sometime. And you're welcome to come home, and I'd be very happy to offer it to you.
Sounds like Enid Blyton to me.
Which is another thing that I grew up with. And you know what was the curious thing? I didn't see Enid Blytons when I went to England. I found it strange. I was looking forward to it, that I would read all the Enid Blytons possible because it was.
They weren't there.
There weren't any Enid Blytons in my school, and I found them very odd. I almost began to suspect her background. She couldn't have been English because of that. Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to the Hyderabad or Indian school, college memories, anything that you did for fun here?
Oh yeah. I had a good set of friends who quickly got me back into the Indian culture because I had begun to forget my Hindi. I had forgotten. Math was very difficult for me after I came back. But my friends were good enough to take me to every Hindi movie because they were shocked that I couldn't speak fluently in Hindi. And I had lost that. I was speaking in English for a lot of my life, and even at home I began to speak a lot of English. So my friends were very diligently training me back into Amitabh Bachchan, all the movies and the movie stars and Hindi movies, and that's where I picked up my natural flair when I speak Hindi and other things like that. So they got me to watch Hindi movies, they got me to appreciate Hindi music, Kishore Kumar and everybody who was a star and all of that. So I got to appreciate Hindi music and loved the parts of culture over here, the food. I got introduced to South Indian food and I began to appreciate that, and so it was lots of fun.
So any cultural icons from where you lived abroad that you remember?
Obviously movie stars, Star Wars, the Star Wars series. We snuck in and watched every episode of the Star Wars movies. At that time it was Star Wars,
the first one.
The Star Wars, and then Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi were released while I was living in the US.
I saw them in Hyderabad actually.
And we snuck into the movie theater pretending to be below 12 so that we could watch it multiple times. This was one of our hangouts as teenagers in the US. You either went to the mall or you went to the movies, and so we wanted to see these movies multiple times. The cost was about $1 or $2, but even $1 made a big difference in those days. So we tried to act like we were younger so that we could get in as
for half ticket.
For half ticket, yes. So we did that, but yeah, movies were those, and then our pop icons, Michael Jackson. I had the good fortune of watching Michael Jackson's Thriller
live
on TV when it was the premiere on MTV.
First time. Okay.
On MTV. So my friend had cable television, and that was a big deal. She had MTV, so we all gathered at her house, and I remember thinking 15 minutes of video with Michael Jackson. So Thriller, I watched Journey, Kool and the Gang. I know I'm dating myself by saying all of this, but Cyndi Lauper, where you talked about girls just want to have fun, and the music was so spirited at that time that we learned to enjoy listening to this kind of music as we went to the school on the school bus and things like that. So it was a very happy, joyful set of things that I was able to do.
That's interesting. Of course, we haven't spoken about biryani and Irani chai. You grew up in Hyderabad most of the time in India.
So you're right, that was another thing that I got introduced to when I came back and we started going to college. This amazing concoction of chicken with the most fragrant basmati rice. I was like floored. So Khubani ka meetha and Irani chai and Irani samosas, which we enjoyed at my college canteen, which by the way was a little, those where cobblers sit and they have those little sheds where cobblers are, the tiny little thing, that was our college canteen. And mind you, I went to a premier college in Hyderabad, but canteen was not the focus of our college education at that time. So, but I got introduced to Irani chai and Irani samosas over there. There was one auntie who would make it from morning to evening. That's pretty much what she made. We loved that.
During our IIM days at Bangalore, we had an uncle who had a shop similar to what you're talking about.
I went to an all-girls college, so it had to be an auntie.
Auntie, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, coming back to maybe a summary of the whole thing. What kept you grounded through the multicultural experiences?
That's a very good question. So, one was my family. We were a very strong family unit, and we ended up, my father was very particular that we adopt the Indian culture and Indian values. So we would listen to American music, rock and roll. At the same time, we would also listen to the most complex ghazals. Although he would explain it to us, we listened to Hindi music from the movies. That was my favorite too. My family values were number one. Number two, I think what helped me was every time we went abroad, we kind of knew it was temporary because it was initially supposed to be 1 year, but the last trip ended up being 4 years. Yet I returned back to the same town, each time, same house, each time, and also the same set of friends. And I think that helped me to learn a lot of other cultures, but yet come back to my safe house and my safe home.
Yeah, you knew you were coming back.
I knew I was coming back, and that was very comforting actually, because when I came back, I just hit the ground running with my friends and my school, and it was just, I changed the grade, I changed the class, but I was with the same teachers and the same grade. That helped a lot. It actually helped my classmates also appreciate all my different cultural experiences.
I think that's a very good summary of what you have been through, positives of being in multicultural environments. Thank you very much for this episode. Great having you with us.
My pleasure.